Being executive director of the Connecticut Democratic Party has to be one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had. Add in pandemic, and it's like being in a war. I feel so grateful for the people that are part of this team. Half of them joined during the pandemic, actually at the beginning of the pandemic, and together we had to find our way of how we keep the organization going.
I received the job offer and accepted it on March 4th of 2020.
With fundraising, how we organize conventions, how do we organize campaigns, how do we support people on the ground, how do we guide people through it all.
I was initially supposed to start on March 23rd, and it got pushed back to April 1st because everybody in the CT Dems office was starting to work from home.
Stressful texts and calls and emails coming in literally 24/7 for months, trying to guide people through something we've all not been through and figuring out the best way to go about it and support them.
I have to hit the ground running because November's coming up faster than we anticipated. And I started hosting trainings. I started setting up virtual phone banks for various activist groups.
For me personally, I have had family challenges that started during the pandemic, but in January of this year, my whole family got COVID, and we're still struggling today. And I have had to provide care and guidance and go into charter territories as you're dealing with life and death decisions. And throughout the whole time, this team has had my back and showed me such great love and support. They're more like family than colleagues to me. So I'd like to thank Nancy, Eric, Eloisa, Audrey, Dave, Chris, Gunnar, Tanaya, Desiree, and Mackenzie for all your love and support. Arnold and Patty have been amazing consultants to us, and Kevin has really helped us through some very tough times when trying to figure out what do we do. So thank you to our donors and everybody that stuck with us, our congressional representatives who came through at a time when we were pretty low, our US senators who also helped support us, and thank you to our governor for helping to lead us through one of the most challenging times for our state and showing great leadership. Governor Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Bysewicz, we appreciate all you do, and thank you to everyone.
When the pandemic hit and everyone went home to work, one of the biggest challenges facing the state party was how to continue to raise money to do our work. So we had to get creative. And I was lucky enough to convince my friend Harvey Fierstein to do a virtual event with us. And our thought was we'd create this cozy chat with him from his home that would allow attendees to ask questions and join in a conversation.
Donald Trump is your drunk uncle at the Passover Seder. The one that you have to listen to him and you keep saying to yourself, oh my God, he'll be gone soon, he'll be gone soon.
But Zoom was new to all of us. And frankly, it didn't work that smoothly. We hadn't really thought through how to get guests on and whether to get them on early to make sure they were in the right place. So our plan was to have Harvey log on after we'd started the program and just before he was introduced. So we've got all these people watching in the audience. We launch our introductory video. Nancy Wyman starts her introduction of Harvey, which isn't that long, and my cell phone rings. It's Harvey. The link isn't working. He's tried it a half a dozen different ways and he can't log on. So I call the team on another line. We try this, we try that, nothing works. We try a few more things and then minutes are ticking by. And as we've all learned with Zoom, something that you would never know what it was worked. And Harvey appeared on our screens and we had a really fun event.
I've actually gotten phone calls. Do you want to make the musical Tiger King? And I said, I would rather be beheaded in Times Square.
It's really hard to pick just one memorable moment from this year. It's a year that brought a lot of challenges. Many of us have come in right before the pandemic or during the pandemic and really had to reinvent our work very quickly. As for my most memorable moment among many has been when we had to start moving our fundraising events to a virtual world. And just early on, we tried to come up with some very creative ideas. My favorite one, which has left a mark even to this day, is with Congressman Himes and his demonstration of beekeeping and mead making.
Oh, that's a nice one. Here you see the honeycomb. They've just built the honeycomb there. And you can actually see the honey inside it. It's sort of glistening in there. They haven't covered it yet. So when the bees bring the nectar from the outside, the nectar is mostly water. And so they put it in those open cells that you see there. There's some more open cells with open honey. And they beat their wings over it. You can actually see a lot of them sort of beating their wings. And that forces the water off of the nectar and turns it into honey. That's how honey is made. Right there, you're seeing it happen live.
I think it really set the tone for and a standard for what we had to come. It challenged us to make sure that every single virtual event we did had a personal connection, had a unique quality, and could get people excited about coming together, even though we couldn't be in person.
I think what I'm most proud of, having worked at the party for the last 2.5 years, was our ability to approach the issue of what to do with legislative conventions and how COVID was going to affect that.
Thank you for joining us for our first virtual state convention happening today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And I think as a staff, we have to give a lot of credit to not only the staff, but especially the leadership, Jacqueline Cozen, Nancy Wyman, Nancy DiNardo. We were able to approach that problem, pivot, and find alternative solutions to be successful in that situation, bring all the parties together collectively and in a virtual manner.
Thank you for joining us today and for the 2020 Democratic State Convention, the first ever to be conducted virtually online. I declare that this Connecticut State Democratic Convention is open.
I think the execution was flawless, given the problem that COVID presented. That's what I'm most proud of.
One of my favorite things to come out of working through this pandemic is our constituency caucuses, first starting with our first launch of our first caucus, which was our Women's Caucus, and just hearing our first guest speaker for our Women's in Politics speaker series was Mathoni, and just hearing her speak, she's such a force.
You know that moment that switched. Some of you were born with this intrinsic interest in politics and very curious and all of that, but a lot of folks have different journeys and are, like me, I'm a later in life mother. Some of us are later in life sort of coming into being really politically engaged. But once it's there, it's there. And that's what's the importance about our voices, whether this is something you do for a living, whether it's something you do as a volunteer. Study after study has shown that we underestimate our ability to be influencers.
That was great. And I feel like it set the tone for all our other launches that we had after that. One of my favorite speakers during launch was Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Hearing him talk and just go through history and the impact that different struggles have had on the Black community, but also giving us hope at the end. I feel like resonates with all our different caucuses, with all our different communities, because we've all have been through a lot of different struggles with just getting our voices heard, and just looking at, even though we've been through all these struggles and all these different turbulence, in the end, to still have hope, because change will eventually come.
You can't get from your point of departure to your point of destination without at some moment along the way encountering turbulence. And so, yes, the last 4 years have been turbulent, but we're on our way to a better place. That is what this caucus is all about. That is what your advocacy and service is all about. You've been called to continue to step up for our community for such a time as this. And because of your engagement, I'm confident that the best is yet to come.
So it's been great working with the caucuses, like taking a large role on just getting them launched and seeing what they need and having different events have been really fun for me.
No, in this past year of COVID, what came probably as the biggest surprise to me from an organizing perspective was texting. I mean, texting is something where the technology has been around for years. But this cycle, texting really seemed to come of age. We were, I truly believe, able to connect with a slice of the voting public that we weren't necessarily connecting with through our traditional methods of knocking on doors and mail and digital and emails.
So I have to tell you, standing at the door, dog charges me, bites me, I'm on the ground. Woman brings the dog inside. My husband, who's fortunately was there with me, picks me up. We are walking to his truck to drive to the ED, and the woman comes out with a towel to wrap my hand in to catch the blood. And she's hugging me and she's saying, "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened. What can I do for you? Is there anything I can do for you?" So I look at her and say, "Well, you could vote for me."
But we learned an important thing, which was volunteers love to text. We had over 350 active texting volunteers, and we were able to send out literally hundreds of thousands of individual texts to folks.
But if you want me to participate, right, or you invite me to dinner and there's nothing on that menu that I want to eat, why am I coming there? You know, I don't have anything against vegans or vegetarians, but you know, I love them all. I'm a meat eater. So the thing is that, you know, let's try to make sure that the policies and the things that we're bringing forth, they actually represent the people that we're trying to lead.
For any political organization, I mean, ultimately, election night is like your Super Bowl, and we had an election night coming, and normally it's chaos no matter what. Orchestrating, you know, candidates speaking while you're sitting on pins and needles waiting for those election results to come in. At least you're all in one place and you can talk to each other and communicate. Well, in this case, instead of having like one chaotic environment, we had like 200 pockets of chaos spread out all over the state. And we decided to do a live show during the course of hearing those results come in.
I know you said that it's not official, but it is looking really good. So I'm going to say an early congratulations. And
Thank you very much.
And there you go. An excited group of people.
In the end, I think we pulled it off. It looked good. We even had a scroll going of like live election results as they were coming in. We had people out in each congressional district trying to get those results and put them all in one place through a spreadsheet that we had, a shared spreadsheet that everyone was entering the information into. So it was a heck of a ride, and it ended that night, and it was, for us, a really good night.
Usually on election night, you're used to hearing a lot of cheering and a lot of fist pumping and all that. I miss that stuff.
So do I. I miss the cheering, the excitement, the balloons. But you know, I think the most important thing is that Mary, things turned out on the right side. I know how hard she worked and how hard her team worked, and it's a really big victory for Democrats in the state.
Yes, it was chaotic. Yes, it was difficult to do, but I'm pretty proud of the fact that we pulled it off. Next year, are we going to do it virtually? No, we're not. We'll see you in person.
Oh yeah, Andre shows up for everything.
Oh.
Yeah, I swear to God.
My cat heard me and just walked up.
I know.
He'll be making an appearance soon.
It's funny how much like these Zoom things you get to know people and their pets